will start.
Everybody's intros were so much longer than mine. I feel like I don't do anything.
It's okay. We will forgive you for being short-winded today.
I'm blue. I'm an Endorian.
Dubbity dubba da.
Oh my god, I was about to say, don't you do it, Darj. I will. Oh god, I can't get that stuck in my head for another week of my life. 3, 2, 1. Damn it, I forgot to fix mine.
Captain's log, stardate 46448.2. My crew has been working around the clock in the last month to get Bajor on the right foot. In a month's time, my crew, along with other ships sent by the Federation, restored power networks planet-wide, has managed to return approximately a dozen major hospitals to being functional, and cleared a Cardassian instruments of torture, determined what farmlands can be actually grow crops again, and much more that would take me far too long on this list to far too long to listen to this log. I am proud of the work they have done in such short time, but I know it has not been easy. The people of Bajor seem more than their share of atrocities before we arrived, and my crew has been doing their best to help these battered people, and it has taken an emotional toll on many of them. How do you heal an entire planet of people from such a horrific, generations-long trauma? Though I will say, the people of Bajor have grit in them too. They will do just fine, eventually. Now, the other ships remaining behind to continue the work. The Shran has been ordered to return to its mission to respond to distress calls, evacuation events, and other appropriate crises. I've been given my crew 48 hours leave while they've been docked at Deep Space Nine before departure. I'm sure they can get a little time to decompress before getting back to the work we all do best. Though, it seems for some of my crew, 48 hours is more than enough time to get themselves into some trouble.
All right. So, Nolan, you wake up in the brig. How do you respond to that?
The light's too bright. Someone turn down the light, please.
I would think that you wanted them brighter with everything you were up to last night. In comes Odo from the other side so he can see you now that he's heard that you've stirred.
Hello, Constable.
Hello, Mr. He looks at like a pad. Voss. So, do you remember what happened?
Can you be a bit more specific? But I'm gonna guess the answer is no. Why am I in here?
Well, let me pull it up. And he starts to like scroll through his tablet. But you notice that he looks confused for a moment. And he starts to, his eyes kind of widen. And he just blinks a few times and he says, this is not correct. Computer, what is today's star date? And then, of course, I forgot the star date I wrote down for Paul. Here we go. 1 second. Sorry. It was 4-6. Pardon me, y'all. Sorry. 4-6-4. No, it's 4-6-4. 4-6-4-5-2.
I hope there's not going to be a test on this later.
No, there isn't. Don't worry. He's like, that's not correct. It should be 4-6-4-4-8 or 4-9. And then he just is. He's sitting there and he's about to start pressing his comm badge, but he already gets, and Commander Cisco comes through. It says, Constable, will you report to ops? And he says, of course, Commander. And then he looks at you, Voss. He says, well, if you wanted to know, you were in the drunk tank. You had a little bit too much fun over at Quarks. I'm going to let you go for now because I have other things to take care of, and I'm sure you have duties to return to aboard the Shran. And he lowers the force field, and then once you're out, he kind of takes off after you in the opposite direction. However, Captain,
mm-hmm.
you and you're in ops right now, and you also have noticed this chronometer problem. So you could at this point
Switch
page-
scenes.
Yes. So, well, with that said, everybody's noticed that the chronometers are not working. So let's go to the main title, people. Here we go.
There we go.
We're back. So, we have the captain is in ops aboard Deep Space Nine. Everybody else, Captain, you determine who would be with you in the case of the chronometers. Now, who would you have called?
I would probably call Ivana and Jagar. I'd probably have Shiv still. I'd have to ask Shiv Disco this, but where would Shiv be if during leave? Would Shiv just not leave?
Shiv would have stayed on the ship and practiced his Vulcan meditation until he heard that Voss had been arrested. Then he would have then he would have gone to the station and basically made sure his was the first face he saw when he was let out.
All right, so we'll have a split of two scenes. Then Voss is getting out, probably coming out of the place, the brig, pardon me, and and Odo of course brushes past you, but and then you guys heard the call. So the two of you and then everybody else is in ops. So we'll start with the ops scene first. So Commander Sisko and of course his entire senior staff, they're all kind of having this thing going on, and he's already informed you. You've just gotten there maybe like a minute or so ago. So the Commander Sisko says to you, Captain, Captain, have you seen this as well? And then he shows you how, like everybody kind of shows you on multiple systems how the chronometer is 3 days ahead of what it's supposed to be.
All right, I'll look at it and go, this might just be the act of an overactive prankster. This is a Cardassian station after all. I'm sure not all of your systems are even up online. It's only been less than a week.
Just as you say that, Kira, she's like at a console and she's saying, Commander, and she's looking over at Sisko. She says, we're getting reports from all over Bajor that they are also seeing this issue in their own time telling devices, that everything skipped 3 days in what seems like in this last hour. Did anybody notice it? Did anybody feel anything? She kind of, she's Kira, so she's very irritated by this happening.
Have you run a sweep for any sort of Chronoton emissions?
Jadzia just points at you and says, already on it. Because she's like sitting at a console just typing a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah.
And she's like, already on it. And she starts to do that.
I'll look over at Uvana and say, Uvana, why don't you help the commander with that situation?
Okay, so the two of you, I actually have Jadzia's sheet. But because this is like y'all, this is a pretty like low difficulty. Y'all take no time in determining. Yes, there is chronoton. There are chronoton particles in the atmosphere or around, like in a good section, and it seems to be what you can tell. And actually, I'm going to make you roll for this, Uvana, because I'm going to say that you took interest in this detail. Go ahead and roll me. Sorry, I'm pulling up a character sheet so I can remember everything that's on them. Let me pull up Jedzia's just for fun. Jedzia, where are you? There you are.
And I say to the captain, well, I'm relieved it's not just the fact that I'm so tired and exhausted from this past week, because I felt like many more days have passed than would have actually passed.
Yeah, and O'Brien's also on the side reporting that there's like all of these messages from Starfleet asking for a response, so then they haven't gotten any response for the last 3 days, and nobody understands what's going on. Go ahead and please roll a reason. Actually, I'm going to have you roll an insight and science. And the difficulty is going to be pretty low. It's going to be like a 1.
Okay.
And then do you have
and I forget, task roll, should that be a
yeah,
a
make
2?
sure to set it a 2. And do you
A 2,
do
okay.
you think you have any what is it called, focuses that apply to temporal or time disruptions?
Quantum mechanics, yes,
Go ahead. Yeah, add focus to
potentially.
it.
Okay.
I think you hit challenge die, my dear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
No, you're all right. Okay,
There we go.
okay, so what you're seeing is that it's in a wave. Like it was like it was some kind of wave that passed over the whole area. Like Bajor, everything, like a good portion of the sector got hit with it.
So it appears it was not just localized, it was a wave that has passed over the entire planet, Captain.
Commander Sisko looks at you and Jadzia and says, "Can either of you determine the point at which it originated from?" And Jadzia says, "That might take some time, but and she looks kind of at you like, I think we could do it." And so,
In the
Definitely.
meantime, as I say that, I turn to Jagar and go, Jagar, could you get a hold of Starfleet and figure out anything that's going on with this whole situation? What did we miss in the last several days?
Sure. So I would probably want to contact Main Command, Starfleet Command.
Jen, you were frozen for me.
Oh, right.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're moving again.
Yeah.
But it was like, repeat what you just said because it was hard to understand.
So I'm gonna probably head over to comms and try to contact Starfleet's Starfleet Command.
Okay, and then Cisco says, "In the meantime, let's go to yellow alert." And then the ship, I mean, well, since y'all are kind of like
Station.
Yeah, station's at yellow alert now. So Jagar, what you can determine from all of that is that yes, Starfleet's been trying to it's been wondering why it's been getting no response. However, ships that came into the sector to maybe kind of poke and prod after about 24 hours of no response, they also got caught in it because you're also seeing a bunch of messages coming from a ship off like in the far end of the sector that's saying that they don't know what happened, but something happened to them, and they're just trying to get in contact with Deep Space Nine and whoever the hell else is over here. So you can, if you want, you can send them like kind of an affirmative, we're okay right now, but we're having the same issue. One of the things you notice though, as you're looking through some different messages that have come through, is there seems to be a series, like it seems like this has been happening throughout the sector, like it's almost like the point that this has happened from has been moving, and so it's been kind of hitting like anything within an undeterminable radius as it's been going, if that makes sense. So you can determine that just based on communication, like backlog of communications that's been coming into the station.
So it's basically like pinging around like the general area.
It's like it's passing by off of a certain distance. Like it's just strolling along, and it's been causing this almost like it's going in a straight line.
Can we try to determine if it's like, I don't know, coming from some kind of like, do I have a way to determine if it's coming from like a ship or some kind of like passing like?
I would say this is where you would probably want to get with Uvana, because I think in a way you have some information that's relevant to her and what they're trying to determine. And you can just see, like, based off star charts of where everybody is and where they were when this happened to them, that whatever's going, it seems to be going in a straight line off in some undeterminable distance.
Perfect. So yeah, so I'm going to head over to the science console and let her know that there is something moving out there.
Okay, I'm going to transition over to Shiv and Voss. So Shiv and Voss, y'all have come face to face after Voss got arrested. He's just walking out of Brig.
Hey, as if I can, I would like for as Odo was leaving for me to have been approaching, and we acknowledge each other because we've known each other previously through our dealings with the Cardassians in the past, and I just put my hand out and he hands me a pad with the charges for Voss.
Like no speaking, just like that.
Yeah, exactly. just a security officer handoff.
Oh, I just see it in my mind. You just kind of stopping and holding your hand out, and
the handoff. So as Odo runs back, I then walk up and am standing in front of Voss, with the force field between us. Voss, what are you doing?
He's just left, so he's been released.
Oh, he's been released.
But this can all happen like kind of right at the doorway.
Okay.
But the charges, okay, since you asked for that, his charges are like drunken and disorderly conduct.
Why have his charges?
Yeah, I'm telling you his charges. Oh, do you want? Okay, you do it. Okay, I got you now. Okay. I see.
So as he walks out of security, then basically I'll step in front of the door and stop him, and just be like, well, let me put on my stern Andorian face here.
Oh God.
Lieutenant Voss, let's see. Had a weekend, did we?
Yes, sir.
You bought an unidentified liquid from a Ferengi bartender, and that led to a list of activities that includes wearing a bucket as a hat. Strange, it's a station statute, not any Federation law I'm aware of. You sat in someone named Morn's chair, also a station statute, not a Federation law, but they appear to take it seriously here. And you spray painted "Kirk is a jerk" on the wall of the Replimat.
Yeah, that one I do remember.
Do you think these are the actions befitting of a Starfleet officer?
Have you met Kirk?
Timeline-wise, I was actually
just
enlisting.
You're like 70, right?
Yeah. I was technically enlisted when he was on the B.
Oh,
so it's
you
possible.
totally then we're doing it. You totally met him.
That's beside the point, Lieutenant Voss. I don't think it needed to be spread all over the Replimat. Consider your station panel customization privileges revoked for 2 weeks. You will have to use default settings for the time being, and then return to the ship.
Understood. Can I stop for a Rectagino first? Because I have a splitting headache.
Yes.
I'm buying if you want one.
I was gonna. Can I cut in and do something right as he says that?
Of course.
Okay. So over the comms, I go, Mr. Shiv, Mr. Voss, I need you in ops immediately.
just gonna look at Voss and just be like, I hate being incidentally countermanded like seconds after I give an order. He goes, as the captain wishes, 2 ops, your Raktajino will have to wait. And take just a little bit of pleasure in at least taking away the Raktajino.
There's a replicator in Ops.
Okay. But I wanted the fresh kind, so
Okay,
All right, so we'll head off.
Okay, so when you two get there, you get there probably like Odo's gotten there right before you guys, and Odo kind of gets caught up by Cisco and everybody. Pardon me, Uvana and Jahar, y'all are kind of in the middle with Jadzia of figuring out what is going on. I'm gonna have one of you roll a actually, I'm going to make it a control science, and then the other, whoever wants to take the lead on that, which I assume would be Uvana, and then if you would like to assist her, Jigar, you can, but you can kind of determine like how you assist her. Like y'all describe to me like kind of what y'all want to do, because you can make a different role based on how you're interacting with this.
So I think using her comms logs and the data she collected when she was kind of determining that it was moving around, that I attempt to extrapolate the path of it as it's moving and try and determine where it's coming from.
Yeah,
So
for you that will be
that's what the
control
role's gonna be.
science. Now,
Mhm.
Jigar, are you like kind of is that what you're trying to do? Like you're sort of trying to input that information, maybe overlay it with anything she has?
Right.
Okay, so for
Right.
you, I think we would do I wish communications was like one of the disciplines, but for you, we'll put command because that kind of falls under communication.
Okay.
And I'm also going to say that's also a control because you really had to put that stuff together to kind of pinpoint where it was all happening.
Okay.
And it's not just Starfleet ships. It's like several ships have like reported something like this in the last like few days.
Sure.
So, and you will roll one die, one on the task roll, and then Maiden will roll 2 on the task roll.
And then
And
just quick checking through I succeed. I've got like follow my lead. I don't think I need to use that yet though. And supervisor, those are 2 possible things I can use as far as talents, but I don't think I need to do that yet. So
Yeah, it's not a super high difficulty. Y'all are gonna have like a difficulty of 3 on this. And then
Okay.
Jadzia can pull. And also, I don't think I have a character sheet for Deep Space Nine itself. Do I? Do I have a Deep Space? I think I do actually, because y'all will be using the station, so I will roll for the station.
nice.
It has low
So
self-esteem.
I'm doing a task roll 1, you said?
Yeah, you'll do 1 task roll, whereas Uvana is doing a 2.
And I was going to keep focus on because I have both astronavigation and computer systems, which is perfect for this,
Of
right?
course, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
What did you get? I didn't
Okay.
see it.
That was Jen's, and then here's
Oh.
mine.
Okay, so you succeed. I'm not even gonna roll the station but you succeed, but with a complication. That complication I will choose to play later for now. So not right now. But basically what you're able to determine is, yes, it is something that's traveling. It's not traveling very, very fast. Like, it's maybe going like 70 to like 100 miles per hour, which I don't know how much that converts to in kilometers off the top of my head. But yeah,
It's 110.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not going very fast for what it's and all you know is it's an object in space. But it's not going super fast. And you can determine its trajectory as it's going. However, it's far enough out of range that a ship needs to go deal with it instead of Deep Space Nine. So, how do y'all? What do y'all tell everybody now? Like, how do y'all relay this to Commander Cisco and the captain and everybody else there?
I mean, I would probably say we've managed to determine that this thing is moving through space, but it's moving really slow. Are we able to determine if there's anything in its path?
Uh, if you pull up like sort of a path, like and from what you can tell, it's going in a very straight line. It doesn't have anything in particular in its path anytime soon, but
Or we do need to go and get it. So, or at least find out what it is to try to stop it.
yeah, and of course, Commander Cisco, he says, "I want to know what this is." I hope my Commander Cisco's okay. Uh, I I don't like this, Captain. And he looks at you, and he's not mad at you. He's just obviously he's like, "What just happened with our days?"
I don't like it either, Commander.
Captain, would you be willing to take your vessel and perhaps look into it?
It's what Starfleet does best, right?
Of course.
Seek out strange new worlds and alien life forms.
And you may take any of my crew that you deem fit to take. And he's offering up if you want to take a DS9 character or two with you, you're welcome to it.
I'm just gonna kind of raise my hand and be like, my crew's got it there, Captain. It's all right. Our Commander.
Well, I would hope so, Odo says, being the grumpy asshole he is.
I kind of turn back to Voss and Shiv and go, you heard the commander? Let's get the ship ready to go. Mr.
Thank
Commander
you,
Shiv,
Captain Bears. And please keep us updated on what is going on out there. Captain
Will do,
Commander Cisco says.
I'll turn back to Shiv and say, Commander Shiv, bring all of the kids back home, and then turn back to the rest of them and gesture for them to follow him as he goes into the turbo lift. So,
All right. I'm just going to turn around to everybody else and say, party's over. Back in the van.
Yeah, and then of course the rest of the crew that's aboard DS9 gets called back aboard the ship. And to them, like, their leave literally just started. And so everybody's just really dazed and confused. Like Quark is down in, the promenade. Y'all probably, as y'all are like walking to like because y'all are docked. As y'all are walking to get to like your dock and stuff together, you can overhear like at Quark's upset because he had some stocks, in the Ferengi stock market, and he doesn't understand how they suddenly tanked when they were just up quite a bit and then of course by this point everybody's starting to realize that some temporal event happened, and Quark is not happy.
I was gonna say Quark just lost like 3 days worth of revenue too.
Yeah,
like...
and yes, and he's especially upset about that. He's sitting there shouting at Rom about this and that. it's kind of a mess. You kind of what's his face? Garrick seems to just be sitting in a corner having lunch, very amused at everybody's running around with their heads cut off kind of thing, especially Quark's. So it's a really good time for some people aboard. But yeah, so y'all eventually get to dock, and y'all go through the airlock and all that and get to your positions. And from there, Captain... Oh, thank you, Darj. How delightful. So there you go. And then you go through, and then eventually you're all back to the bridge, and it's for you. And Yolo is like... She was pulled out of like a holodeck program, and she has like little like lei around her neck and a cute little shirt. She seems to be a little bummed out.
What was Gator doing?
Gator, he is actually on the bridge, and he's been trying to... He also obviously got the news that everybody's chronometers, but he seems a little exasperated because he was doing all this work to try to fix the chronometer to go back 3 days, and then he got informed that it was everybody, and so now he's having to put the chronometer back to being what it actually is. So he just kind of looks at all of you as you come in, because he was like the one in command of the bridge for the moment, and he just seems a little annoyed, but he's not. He's fine. He gets up and he greets all of you.
I'd like to walk up to Gator,
Mm-hmm.
and I see what he's doing, and I just kind of settle up next to him, and I look over at, like, shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I look over at him, and I bring up a command interface on the panel, and I type in a code that it's a macro. It's Shiv macro 01, and it automatically resets every display in the ship back to default settings and to the Starfleet synced chronometer in one fell go, and goes,
He just kind of
efficiency.
looks at you and says, "Well, I see the dictator of default has struck again." And then he walks away. He's just looking so sad.
As he walks
Oh,
away, I'm going to look back over at
funny.
Shiv and then look at the rest of the crew and go, "You have a nickname? I don't even have a nickname." And then walk to sit down on the captain's table, or the captain's chair.
I just quietly tap my comm badge, and I'm like, first officer's log, make a new addendum to my personnel file. Dictator of default. Thank you.
Oh my lord. Oh jeez. Okay, so what do you do from here, crew and captain? Captain, obviously, it's kind of your floor because it's your ship.
I'm going to talk to YOLO and say, she's ensign, right?
Yes, she's a
Yeah.
very young officer. She's
Okay, I didn't know
she's
she's
in her
retired
little
ensign.
she's in her little island clothes, hanging out. And
Yeah.
she, all right, Captain.
Ensign, give her the coordinates, and I say, get us there. Be careful. How far away is it? Is it like? Do we have to warp
It's gonna
there,
take
or
you
is
like
it
an hour to get to it. At
in
like warp.
or
Yeah, at warp. Actually, let's say it's gonna take you a few hours to get to it, and you're gonna be in the maximum warp, because otherwise, like at warp 5 or something, it would take you like a day.
okay.
But at warp 9, it should take you maybe 3 or 4 hours. I don't know the time conversion of warp right now. I actually have a chart for it, but for now, we'll just say at maximum warp, it's about 2 or 3 hours away.
And
all
actually,
right.
at our point in time, there's restrictions on warp speed anyway. We're not supposed to go over like warp 7.
Yeah. So warp 7. I mean, emergency, you can go warp 9, and this isn't a huge emergency. This is like more of like a priority 3 kind of emergency. So at warp 7, yeah, it'll take like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one-off Greenpeace episode that everybody forgets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I the very special episode.
Very special episode of Star Trek.
Yeah. Captain will look at YOLO and go, warp 7 to these coordinates. Run it there, ensign.
Going to warp again? Just can't wait to be going to warp again. I was trying to have fun doing holodeck with my friends, but now I gotta go to warp again. she punches it.
There we go.
All right, so that is the end of Act 1. Does anybody need like a quick break or anything? Is that
I could probably
anybody?
use it.
Sure.
Yeah, does anybody need a quick? I want to be better about giving us like quick breaks, because I know sometimes people gotta go do their stuff. So if y'all want to take a quick break before we get to Act 2, that would be great.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, I just want to say that when Voss gets back to his station, he finds a paper, like a data, like a white sheet waiting for him about the dangers of ordering from non-standard bartenders, non-Federation standard bartenders, the virtues of synthahol, and how to know the difference.
Wow, the virtues of synthahol. I need that book.
Oh my god, we're gonna write that book in this game. I swear to God now. All right, y'all go take a quick break. Everybody go take a quick break and chat. Just sit tight, and we'll be back in like 5. All right, cool. Well, then let's transition back to the scene. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the audience as well as the crew. So y'all have now arrived to where you're trying to get to. What you're seeing on visual range is you're seeing something very long you're not quite close enough to make it out just right, but you at this place, Uvana, you're able to determine that there is like an energy barrier of some kind that seems to be the source of what's going on. And it's pretty like you can just see it in visual range. You can see it sort of like that that classic like blue shield crackling almost. But it's far out from the thing that it's protecting. And yeah, like so with that information, Captain and Uvana, if you would like to relay that.
Captain, I recommend we keep our distance. There, we can see the sort of the border of the object, for lack of a better word.
I agree. Yolo, keep us a good distance away.
You good, Captain? And she kind of like sort of turns the ship in a way to sort of, because y'all were faced at it, but it seems to, like I said, you could see it visually, but there's also what you are seeing in the kind of off to like maybe the right of where you are. There's like this subtle little cracking in it. It's almost like a tear. And Yolo immediately says that. She's like, Captain, you see that? And she just doesn't even wait for a command. She like visually directs the ship's I guess cameras to it and zooms in on it. And that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a big tear. And it seems to be sputtering, like it's sputtering like an energy out of it here and there.
So just to clarify, it's just like a shield bubble that we're seeing.
Kinda, yeah, like that's the best way to
or
describe the thing. But Uvana can tell it's the source of the chronoton. This is like what she said, like it's the source of the chronoton disruption or the temporal disruption. And yeah, there you go. You have a tear in it.
I would like to do a tactical scan to see if there's a ship or a vehicle or a physical object of any kind inside, and whether it has weapons.
You're not detecting any weapons. In fact, what you do detect with the tactical scan is whatever it is, it's ancient. It's very old. Like you can barely make it out because it's the dark of space. It's hard to visually see it, but you can kind of a little bit like when Yolo zooms in, you can kind of see a piece of it, and it's long, and it's very it's just long. And it looks like one big thing, but it's very long and it's very tall.
How do we tell? How do we tell it's old? What's telling us that it's old?
Your tactical scan would have come up with the composition of the metals that it's made of.
I'm dating it.
I mean, you can look further into it, but the computer's spitting back at you that it's basically iron and steel. But
it's made of materials that nobody uses anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly. I mean, there's other compositions in it that you can't quite determine at this distance, but you're able to sort of get the scan like through the crack, because otherwise you wouldn't be able, if there wasn't a crack, you wouldn't be able to determine anything about it.
Are we able to determine if it's solid or not?
Yes and no. It's solid, but it seems to be made up of multiple pieces.
What size are we talking about?
You know what? Let me. I actually have to.
Like in relation to our ship, especially.
Yeah, let me look something of. Okay, the standard length of one of those is about 50 feet, and there's 700 of them, plus some little extra. So, somebody get a calculator out.
50 times 70?
5270?
35,000.
You said 50 times 70?
700.
700.
35,000.
3,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's enormous.
35,000.
It's like.
Oh, okay, I was right.
And like I said, it's long. So.
It's long, but it's broken up into 700 pieces?
Yes. But they're not broken apart. Like they're connected, but they're pieces.
Jagar, open up hailing frequencies. try to get in contact with him if we can.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try to bounce a hailing frequency off of it. See
Um,
if we get anything.
it bounces right back at you when when you're directing it at the barrier itself. But there is a tear.
Can we direct a frequency like through the crack?
Yes. Yes. In fact, the crack is big enough for your ship. Like, it's a very big crack. It's bigger than the ship. So yeah, you're able to get it through, like, and YOLO even helps you out by kind of directing the ship. She actually pulls the ship up next to that tear, so you're right in front of it. To be helpful. And you do get a communication back. It seems to be on a frequency that you like. It's a frequency you're not familiar with, but it is somehow coming back through. And it's kind of stifled. It's like, that kind of thing. It's a lot of static. But whoever's on the other end of it is saying, like, you can barely make it out, but essentially what you can make out is she's saying, like, it's kind of one of those things where it's broken up. So it's like, we're in, essentially what you can't, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to like say this with static. You hear,
I can do the static for you.
no. What words you do get back are, like, you could hear through the static, and once you kind of like dial it in more, you hear somebody that says, is that English? Are you speaking English? And it's open. You can respond back.
I mean, aren't we all technically on
Standard,
communicators?
isn't it?
So
Yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah. So like are we all hearing this? Or is it just Shakar?
It depends on if she opened it to where all of you can hear it, or if it's just her.
Oh, I opened it. Yeah, definitely.
So you all hear it then. Are you speaking English?
No, but you're hearing us speak English. It's a universal translator. You're Earth? You're human?
Kinda. So, and it is, she kind of dials it, and she on her end, this person on the other end, she like, let me see if I can, and then she does some adjustment on her, and now it's a lot more clear, but it's still got that static to it. And she says, who are you, and what year is it?
This is Captain Neiman Beers of the USS Shran, of the United Federation of Planets, Starfleet. The year, its current star date is, I'm going to say, 246448.9. Kind of at the last part is 9.
That
it's
means
supposed to be
nothing
.2
to me. I asked the year.
What is the current year? I look over at
2369.
At Voss, and I go, what is the current year, Voss?
2368.
Year.
By Earth standard, by Earth counting, 2368, Captain.
2368.
2369.
2369. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. So hi. My name is Tina. And
Hi, Tina.
yeah. Are you human?
Are you human, Tina? What's going on with your ship?
Look, I'm trying to fix this thing, and I'm letting you know right now that did you experience a shock wave?
We experienced a time dilation wave, yes.
Okay, so you see that tear? I'm gonna need you to come inside because there's a shockwave that's gonna hit pretty soon, and if I don't get you inside, you're gonna be affected by it. We're all gonna be affected by it.
I look over at YOLO, and then I look over at Shiv, and I go, "Can we fit in there?"
Oh, I can get us in there. I'm real small.
Shiv, Commander Shiv, I know you have a lot of technical aspects of this ship memorized. Would we be able to make it through that?
What's the answer, GM?
Yes, it would be a bit of like a squeeze if you if you angled it right, it would be a slight squeeze, but you get in. It takes some really talented piloting by.
We should be able to make it with sufficient piloting, and I recommend an immediate elevation to yellow alert.
Thank you, Mr. Shiv. Yellow alert. And then I just gesture towards YOLO and say, make us small, YOLO.
You got
Let me pull up YOLO's sheet because I'm actually gonna roll for her doing this. Let's see. Let's see what her talents are. Yeah, I'm gonna count this as an evasive action because you are evading the parts of the tear. And so she has no power requirement to get through this. But she is gonna do control con, and
I can roll for the ship if you need to.
let's see what she got and see how bad or good she did. She did just fine. But yeah, go ahead and roll for the ship too.
It's just because we can also get extras.
That's true.
I'm guessing it would be con engines.
Yes.
Okay. Task roll 1, right?
Yeah.
What's the difficulty on this?
It was 2. So you guys, y'all have.
And it reset after that act, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is your new pool.
Yay.
So you got 1. Once you're in, time, like, because you were, the ship was experiencing some slight time distortion. Like, the chronometer was going a little nuts up and down, just like by an hour. It kept giving and taking around like a couple hours before you went into the tear. Now it's like, now your chronometer is totally at 0. Like nothing.
Just it's 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yep, it's 0 across. So
I'm gonna start hitting my console,
Shiv-
and I've
Shiv-
got percussive maintenance as a focus. Can I?
Under Shiv's breath, he goes, default time.
even when you set it to default, it still is at 0.
Yeah, no.
Nothing
He's
y'all
saying
can do. Yeah.
he's achieved default time.
I get it now. Oh my god. It's the year 2000. In the year 2000. No, I'm just kidding.
In the year 25.
So when y'all
Different song?
Yeah, when y'all get in, time seems to be at a standstill. Except for y'all aren't affected by it. Like, it's not like y'all are frozen, right? Y'all aren't physically frozen. But once you get in, she's able to have, like, her communications are totally clear. She's like, oh, and she says, oh my goodness, I am so glad that you made it through. Wow, that was impressive. Wow. I could kind of see your shadow off in the distance through the window here, and it is, what is that? What are you inside of? She's very fascinated with what's coming toward her. And once y'all get in, I mean, y'all can start heading toward the object.
Yeah.
And YOLO's pulling you in. And as you get closer and closer to this object, Nolan, roll me an insight and what would fall under history? I guess a science.
Yeah.
Roll me an insight. Actually, engineering. Roll me an insight engineering because it's more relevant to what this is.
Okay. Would I have any focuses?
No,
Probably not.
Just roll
No.
it. Just roll. I just want to roll it. See if you. I'm just really determining if you know something because you're the one human. Okay, you do. This is a locomotive from approximately. You would probably guess based on. I mean, you did well enough. It would have been generally a 0 for a human, but since you rolled a 2, so by the way, that's 2 extra to your pool.
Nice.
What you can tell, you may have at least read or something. It took a point in your life at the academy or wherever, or just in general, like growing up. Probably
Stumbled upon a museum in San Francisco.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And this is specifically a combination engine. It's very large, though. Of all the ones that you probably have seen at like little museums and stuff, this is huge.
I was gonna
It-
say it's like 7 miles long, right?
Well, obviously, I mean, like the length of it, yeah, for the 700 box cars on it, yeah, like it's freaking long. But I'm saying that the box cars themselves, like it's a very tall engine, or the whole thing's like taller than a standard locomotive of the time. And it seemed, and from what you can tell, it appears to be maybe from somewhere between like the 17, like the late, like the 1800s. So it's somewhere in like the 19th century that it seems to be from. And clearly, as you get closer and closer to it, and as scans run like passively, Uvana, you can see that there is tech hooked up to this that is nothing like you've ever seen. And it seems to, and it's like the quantum mechanics of this don't make sense to you. And then to you again, Voss, you immediately know this is a combination engine from the 19th century. So do with that information what the rest of the crew as you will.
What's a combination engine?
It's a type of locomotive.
So like steam.
Yeah. Like coal steam, yeah.
Okay.
But it's obviously not running on that.
Well, yes, and it's and it's obviously not got any rails to run on.
And also I want to say in another passive scan, Uvana, there seems to be something wrong with chronoton particles compared to what you were seeing before. You can't quite determine it yet, but you will have time to.
Same exact thing.
Sorry. Captain, it appears that there's I'm sorry, I was having an aside conversation here with my son.
No, there's there's alien tech you've never seen before, and two, there seems to be which you would need more time to figure out. There's something going on with chronoton. Like there's like there's some concentration of chronoton around here, like inside of that thing.
Captain, there's something going on inside the locomotive itself. It appears that this may even be the source potentially, or could be contributing to this tear as well, because there are chronoton particles within it.
What is
what's a steam locomotive from, I'm gonna say, 400 years ago doing with chronoton particles?
Well,
It's a steam
good
locomotive?
question, Tina says over comms. Perhaps we could get together in some capacity, maybe to talk about this. I welcome you aboard our little ship here. And by the way, YOLO at this point, like she passively has been kind of like coming up the side of it slowly. Like y'all kind of started toward like, I want to say the last 3/4 of the back of it. And she's been coming up it, and she's been going at like an impulse speed, staying inside, but because y'all have plenty of berth, like there's wide berth of that bubble, and she, as y'all are passing up, like y'all are getting close to the engine itself, you see on the engine it says Wabash Cannonball. It just says.
While this is going on, Shiv is just looking up historical records of famous locomotives, reading about the legend of Thomas the
tank engine.
Tank engine.
It's very enthralled. Like,
well, like
doesn't see how it relates yet.
You eventually, okay, you, like I said, you see the name Wabash Cannonball as you're doing the search.
No, I slide Thomas over aside, but bookmark it and send it back to my quarters, and then bring up the Wabash.
Okay, so what you're able to
Since
determine
matches.
is the Wabash Cannonball has a pretty rich, not super rich, but it was part of an American tall tale.
Did it just beam over?
Yeah, somebody come over. Did somebody beam? But the Wabash Cannonball, you kind of like the general records, like the top, like basically the top page, so to speak, of the records about the Wabash Cannonball was a passenger train in the 1960s through the 1970s, or 1950s through the 1960s, I believe. So, but that doesn't match up. But then as you get a little deeper into it, you see that there is a legend of the Wabash Cannonball that dates back very far in specifically North American history between the provinces of Canada and North America or United States. And you can read further into that in a second, but I am going to give everybody else some more time to kind of look at it and figure out what they're doing. So, what are y'all thinking? Tina's on the other end. She just told you maybe we should talk.
I'm gonna start a
She's audio
detailed
only.
scan just to figure out like how this thing is even here. Like, is it actually running on Steam? Is the Steam itself powering a sort of auxiliary parts that are generating the chronotonic stuff? Is it just the engine, or does it have stuff bolted onto it?
It's a hodgepodge of what appears to be what was the Wabash Cannonball and some kind of alien tech that seems to be fueled on chronoton particles.
And don't recognize the make and origin of those alien
not at all. Not
alien technology. Okay.
Not one bit.
All right.
So
I'll start.
I'll turn over to Mr. Voss as he's doing this. Say, Mr. Voss, is this based off you're the one who knows about this steam locomotive? Is it safe for us to beam over?
Yeah, it has life support. Like, it's fine. It's life supports. It seems to have alien life support systems that support for y'all to go into it.
And it's like every card has atmosphere and everything in it. So
yeah,
okay.
it's like the cars, how they connect, and sometimes you can walk between them outside. There seems to be like where there's a lot of passenger ones, but toward the back there are cargo. So the cargo aren't as prioritized from what you can tell, but they still have like atmosphere in them. But generally, most of the cars like directly connect. So
are you able to like scan for life signs? Like, how many people
Absolutely.
are on board?
Do you want to scan for life signs? Then I'm gonna have you do that.
You love scanning for life signs.
Oh my god! I'm looking for a sound effect, but I'm not gonna find it in time. So just go ahead.
Fucking let me down, Darj.
Life forms. Your precious little life forms.
Where are you?
All right, while he's looking for a sound effect and all this is going, I'm on Beers' little command console. He's going to start seeing like a bullet pointed summary of the Wabash. Like, I'm not sending him the entire file, but just the most relevant parts, the stuff that you were sharing with me. And then there will be an appendix about sentient trains with an image of Thomas the Tank, and flying trains with a screenshot from the end of Back to the Future 3. Just attaches as potential other sources of relevant information.
Maybe the song Train in Vain. No.
I'd like to try and determine if
and an image of Dr. Cornelius.
Got it.
If possible, what alien race might have adapted this train or worked on this train.
Whatever it is, it's far beyond anything that y'all know. It's never anything that the UFP has ever encountered. Jagar, you conduct some life scans, and yeah, there are life scans, life forms. They seem, two of them seem extremely like physically large. Actually, three of them are. Three of them are very physically large. There is it seems to be, and then there's like the one that you're talking to. She appears to be part human, and there's also there's a human life form aboard too, but it's very faint. It's very, very faint. But aside from the one that you're speaking to, Tina, all of the others seem to be like almost like they are frozen in time. They're not alive and they're not dead, but they're like they exist and they're not responding to time. If that makes sense. So they're there, they're not moving, they're not breathing, but they're alive. They're in temporal flux, essentially.
what in the world do we do with this?
Welcome to the world of a Starfleet officer.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to.
Without writers to...
Good. Sorry.
One of my focuses is alien piloting controls. So I'm like itching to see how this thing is even moving through space. So I really want to get in there and take a look at it.
Y'all been welcomed aboard. Y'all been told y'all are welcome to come aboard.
I'm gonna look at the rest of you.
Screw anything up? Like if we go on board this thing, like
no, there is a dock port on it. That it's like it's very like what you would imagine somebody who had materials from the 19th century on Earth would make a dock port out of.
Okay.
Or you can beam over. It's not going to hurt to beam over either.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all in for adventure, so sign me up.
I'm gonna turn to YOLO and go. Anson, you have the bridge, I guess.
Oh, it's my day to be the captain. Let's go.
Commander Shiv, Commander Jagar, Lieutenant Commander, or just Lieutenant?
Just Lieutenant.
Yeah. Just Lieutenant. Yeah. Lieutenant.
I mean, if you're offering, I'm just kidding.
Lieutenant Ivana and Mr. Voss, you're with me to the teleportation room. I keep trying to think of it to the transporter.
Transporter bay.
Yeah, to transporter bay. Let's go.
Wait, the captain goes on away missions?
Is the
This is a potential first contact situation there, Mr. Voss.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to be there with this.
In the research I was doing, I was also looking up other times starships encountered 18th or 19th century items floating in space, and I've now just read the entire mission log of floating Abraham Lincoln and the Excaliburs.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Abraham Lincoln. So at this point, like I pull out my phaser. And I'm just like making sure it's fully charged with my flashlight.
I've also downloaded all of those bullet points that Shiva sent me to a data pad, and I'm scrolling through it as we're rocking to the.
And now I'm forwarding all this shit on Excaliburs and the banned planet. Now we're and all that stuff and how the gladiator games they made us fight. So I'm like I just reached under the panel and pulled out a second phaser, and I'm putting a second phaser on my back holster just in case it's another. Gladiator combat situation like the last time Starfleet found a 19th century thing floating in space.
Commander, should we arm ourselves? What are you expecting over there?
I guess it's standard.
Standard away mission. Right?
A standard away mission standard first contact protocol, Lieutenant. As I look over at Shank, and Shank is like his little materialization in the front is going through several knives and stuff, like to make sure he's got his full array of weapons.
Oh my god!
Everybody else is standard array.
Does he have a butterfly knife?
Probably. But he prefers the Ushan.
Yeah.
As far as blades go, he prefers the Ushan.
All right, I think we're gonna all teleport to the train.
Come on, ride the train.
We're gonna teleport
anywhere
to
in particular.
I would say probably closest to the signal that is Tina that we know of, right?
Yeah, and when y'all get there, y'all basically what's the word? Materialize. Thank you. Materialize. Y'all materialize into what appears to be a dining car. And there's
damn it! I don't have light lunch sound effects.
Find it quickly.
I mean, it's like a dining. It looks like it used to be a dining car, and it kind of still like it's got like a kitchenette and all that stuff in it. But it seems to be like almost like it's like sort of. It's like she's got like communications equipment kind of shoved into a corner that she was using to talk to y'all. And then once you get there, she is a very tall woman. She is easily about 16 feet tall.
Wait,
is a big
how
train.
big is the cart?
Very
Yeah.
big
There's-
car.
I kept telling y'all, it's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, these cars
Okay.
probably in reality are about like 60 feet tall each.
I turn
Oh,
back to
well, that
Beers.
would have been information.
Sorry. I kept saying, a lot of things. But yeah, it's huge.
Okay, I turn back to
Yeah,
Beers
that-
and I point to like giant Abraham Lincoln.
Also knowing that this is like 10 times the size of what the Chubash
It still fits on
what- what-
tracks. It would still fit on like normal tracks, right?
It's just tall.
It's just-
It's
It's
just
it's
enormously
super tall.
Because I think the normal
it's
like
like-
track, I mean, and it's
it's like
probably
those-
a little wider than the average, but it still fits on tracks, which doesn't determine its width necessarily, right?
It's got the NBA Jam big head coat on it.
Yeah, it's like if you've
It's
seen those cargo
humongous.
planes. Those cargo planes that are like normal
Yes.
747s.
Oh,
but they're just
it's
like
the
double.
Dimsdale Dimmadome of trains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but she's like about 16 feet tall. She appears to probably be like a fairly young person. I mean, if you were to like compare her to like maybe like somebody from Earth, she probably like she looks about 16 or 17. Like she looks like she is about a teenager
Okay.
in comparison to a human. So,
I immediately get out my tricorder and start scanning.
clearly
as
she's
he does
half
that-
human and she's half something else.
As he does that, I put my hand out to say, just kind of like put it away, and I step forward and go, Miss Tina, I presume.
Yes. Hi. My name was actually Teeny, but I prefer Tina.
I am Captain Beers. This is my crew. May I ask, what is going on?
It's a long story, but let me take you somewhere here. And she's like, follow me. And y'all start to like work your way up toward the engine section. And then
And as we're doing that, I turn back to Voss and go, just like, roll it, scan it, you know.
and as you're kind of going along, as you're walking along, you know, she explains to you, so my father, uncle, and some others of his people, they came to be on Earth a very, very long time ago. And they spent a very long time trying to get off of Earth. As you can see, they eventually succeeded after the industrial age.
As she does this, I'm scrolling through the things looking for the Doc Brown quote from that Back to the Future. and
there
just
is
really,
actually
like,
something very deep baried
compare.
in his points that you may notice.
Okay.
And what one of the far down points is there is one of the there's a legend of the Wabash Cannonball that it's almost like akin to the Flying Dutchman. It's like it was known as the Death Train. It came to claim the soul of hobos as they died. And there seems to be a lot of mixed folklore around it. But as you finally get to the engine compartment, one of the last notes on there is that the Wabash Cannonball was a very, very, very mighty. It was the mightiest of all trains that ever, right? Of all the trains on Earth, it was the mightiest. It rode a route called the Rock Island Route. And it basically, the route it was totally impossible because it went to multiple continents. And that's not possible for a train, but in the legend of this train, it did that. And and then as you're getting to the final notes, you come into the engine room and you see a very, like, almost a 40-foot tall man, 2 40-foot tall men, working like they were clearly in the process of trying to fix this. And now, like, because they're touching the source of the chronoton particles that you can just see, it's like a blue glow. They're like trapped, and it's like shock waving over them over and over again. It's not hurting, like it's not doing anything to any of y'all, but it's almost like where their fingers are touching, or where one of them his fingers are touching like a tool. that's dipped into something to do with the cross. Like it's just passing over him
It's-
over and over
It's
and
like
over again.
it's like they touching a live wire of electric
Yeah,
wire.
and
where
and
you
the
just
other
gotta grab
guy is
onto
like
it
got
or
his
let
hand
go.
on his shoulder, like he was trying to pull the other guy back, but he got caught in it
Mhm.
too. And she just kind of points it, and one of them is in like a big, like he's the one that's pulling the other guy back. He's like in what do you call it? Like a big he's in a like obviously the biggest flannel shirt you've ever seen, jeans. The other guy's kind of in more of a conductor outfit, the one that's actually trying to repair. But yeah, they're clearly caught in the middle of, they got caught in the middle of trying to fix it. And yeah, so that's what you see. And then as you're getting there, Captain, that last note says that that the Wabash, in the legends of the Wabash Cannonball, one of the legends states that it was so fast that it arrived at its destination before it was even supposed to, like it would arrive at its destination like hours before it was supposed to depart from a station. It was so mighty and it got going so fast that it was never to be seen again. And the conductor of it was Cal Bunyan, and his brother Paul Bunyan and their family were aboard when this happened.
Captain, this seems to be the source of the chronoton particles.
Yeah, y'all, that's actually the effect y'all are experiencing. Y'all are able, but you all sound drunk.
Okay.
So she turns to you and says that she says, clearly things didn't go well, and I've spent a lot of time trying to fix it. And y'all all move a little bit slower. Like it's like you're moving in slight slow motion.
Yeah. I turn to Uvana and go, Uvana, can you determine if we can fix this problem?
I will certainly try. So, Buster, what?
Okay, this is where you're.
I'm struggling to decide whether we try and disrupt this somehow, or if we're gonna we still need to determine what this effect is, right? I mean, we know it's chronoton particles, but
You're okay. So, what do you do to try to figure out what's wrong? Like,
I'm still doing the tricord scanners, by the way.
Okay. So, your tricorder is telling you, Voss, that these chronoton particles are somehow out of phase. It's almost like something affected them, like they're rotting. Like it's almost like rot. Does that make sense? It's almost like a disease is inside of the particle, but it's like a phase disease. It's like they're out of phase.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you know. That's all you can tell. Like they're it's like the polarities screwed up on them. So I would assume you tell that to Ivana.
Yes. No, but I'm also scanning what the potential source of the chronotons is, and
That's
whether the machine itself is damaged in some way, or
it's not the machinery that's damaged. It's the clearly the chronoton, based on the way that you know what you know about these kinds of engines, is it's clearly the fuel source. Like this thing eats chronoton particles to get to where it's going. Uvana, will you roll me a science reason? Just real quick, like I just want to know. This will help me determine how much you would understand this.
and with the focus, I'm guessing.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to roll something too, go ahead. Like engineering reason for you, and another 2, because I want to determine how much each of you individually understands about this.
Okay.
Darj.
Would you say engineering reason?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so y'all each add 1 to the task, or pardon me, to the pool, the determination or momentum pool. essentially what you all can determine, okay, Ivana, what you're seeing based on what he has and what probably you're determining just based on your general professional prowess here, is that these are definitely like, it's like the polarity is reversed and these are out of phase, but you think that this, like, if this can be fixed by giving it the correct, like basically pulsing, like a pulsing energy from maybe the deflector dish. Voss,
Almost. Okay.
what you can determine is you're understanding what exactly, like, where she understands the procedure, you understand this, like the symptom, like, or I guess like what the makeup of what that pulse would need to be. It's I don't know enough science terminology off the top of my head to kind of tell, and you know, techno babble, but essentially she has the cure, like she has the how to inject the cure, you know what the cure needs to be, which is a specific pattern of electrical impulses that is not going to be easy to calculate, but you think that you guys have a good shot at it.
And since Tina said, well, actually, I'll address this to Tina. You said that there's a new shockwave coming. Is how long do we have until that's
In
that's a thing?
here, we have about 5 hours. Out there, I can't tell you. And she by out there, she means outside the bubble. Like it'll for
Outside the
us,
bubble.
for y'all,
Okay.
it'll happen in 5 hours. But how? What she's trying to say is how much time it will affect outside. She isn't quite sure yet. And then she asked, "How?" So you experienced the shockwave. What time was out of phase for you?
We
9
lost
days.
3 days.
3
3
days.
days. Yeah, 3 days.
So, and then she just kind of just sits there for a second and she starts to do like some mental math, and she looks at like a console nearby, an alien console, and she types something in, and she says, the next shockwave, whatever it hits, it will affect it. It will cause it will take 10 days out of time. These keep getting
I
stronger.
mean, it was 3.5 for me, but that half is from different reasons. So
But she's telling you, she says these shockwaves keep getting stronger and stronger, and I don't have anything to fix them with. I barely know how to do any of this. I
well,
started
if
this
we
journey as a 6-year-old, and now I am, for me, 10 years has passed while my whole family's been frozen. I had to just learn everything on my own.
I will point my tricorder to Uvana and just show it. So if we can manage to inject this generator with these sort of generally these sort of electrical pulses, more calculations still need to be needed. But if we can do that, it might align the phase of the chronotons so the machine's actually working properly again. Is there any way that we could do that from the Shran?
And I assume I can control the deflector dish from my
Yes.
tricorder, or okay.
Well, you would probably need to be
Yeah.
board ship to do this properly, but yeah,
Okay.
you can direct the deflector dish as needed.
I'm just going to
Alright,
look at the two of them and be like, shooting something at it to fix it. It's a plan I like. Get where you need to be. Make it happen.
and I just reply, it's always the deflector dish when we need to disrupt something. So I head over
Electric dish is
to
just the biggest gun on the ship.
It is the only piece of equipment designed to deal with this sort of energy flux. Yeah, that is correct.
Mhm.
Now, Jagar,
I'll look at the rest of them.
just real quick. Jagar,
Sorry.
something about this sounds very familiar to you in relation to Bereth.
Oh. Oh. Yeah.
From what-
Crystals.
From what
Yes.
you understand, this is not a problem that is unique. Like, this is something that you know of being a problem on Bereth before. So you would probably, and you don't know as much because it's kind of a Klingon secret, right?
Right.
But you know
Yeah.
enough to know that the time crystals on Bereth may have a similar like there may be relevant information with that. It's basically I'm planting a seed in your head right now.
Is that how the forehead ridges changed?
No, that was a retrovirus, a DNA retrovirus.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so yeah, well, here's the thing though, like we don't if that's when you touch them, you like you like kind of like go back into your past, but we don't have one on here, do we? Can
Do
we
you?
scan to see if we have something like that? Like,
Do
did
you want to
somebody
scan to
steal
see if that makes sense to you?
something from the freaking monks on Borath? Yeah, yes, I do.
So, so I assume you get a tricorder out, like once this like little thought enters your brain.
Yes.
Okay, so when you use your tricorder, you determine that it's not a time crystal from Bereth, but it has to be the same kind. Like it may not be exactly from Boreth, but you know it's the same thing. So you don't know if it's actually like you can probably see that it doesn't have an origin. Like these chronoton particles come from like a time crystal that is messed up.
Yeah.
In
If
some
the time
way.
crystal doesn't come from the monastery on Boreth, it's just sparkling time crystals.
Mm.
You don't know, like I said, you can't really see if it's like from Bereth or not. It would make sense, those aren't easy to take. But there's something like it's a similar material for sure.
That's some fucking dollar store time crystals here.
Mm.
I actually turn to the captain though, and I say, Captain, I need to get to my science station to do this, to help properly with this.
Excellent.
Requesting permission to transport.
I turn to the rest of the crew and say, if you need to get back to the station, back to the ship to fix this problem, do it right now. I'm going to stay here with Tina and make sure everything goes according to plan.
So it's just the two of us?
Should I be like
Anybody else?
hunting for this crystal?
Should you be what?
Should I be hunting for this crystal, or do we just scan for it and know that it's somewhere? Do we need this thing?
It's you can physically see it, but it's like
Okay.
you've never seen it. Like it's almost like it's in shards.
Okay.
That's why like this chronoton energy you see coming out, it's like it's in shards. And once you determine that, like that's what you determine is instead of being a whole time crystal that's like intact, it's actually like it's almost like it's tearing itself apart. It's very, very slowly. Like it's sharding out. Sorry.
Is the crystal
I see
Wow.
the desire
crystal
to say something, Disco.
Yeah, no, while all this is happening, because this is the science talk generally bores the shit out of Shiv. I feel like Shiv would have slowly backed out of the room and begun to explore the rest of the train.
When you get far enough down, you find you get into a room and you see a very large animal that is blue. It looks like a big bovine creature.
Okay.
It just looks at you and continues to munch on space grass, I guess.
I'm just gonna be like, peace and long life, and then I continue on through the cars. Yeah, just while this is happening, I just gonna be going through the cars as I'm on my pad and I'm looking up like dangerous trains and reading about the murder on the Orient Express and stuff. And just while they're all doing this, because I can offer no help to the science or the fixing
You're
thing.
securing the cars. I get it.
I'm going to be looking for other threats or other signs that things may not be what they appear to be.
Yeah, Babe the Blue Ox is totally unbothered by you.
Blue is the ox on the space train.
All right, so what were you about to say, Ivana?
As soon as I get back to my station, I assume we transport over.
Yeah,
I'm gonna recustomize my settings so I can work effectively.
Remember, you told everybody how to
And-
save their settings, so
That's right. Yeah,
you
I
have
just
a
run my
good way to
little
do it.
Uvana program
Does
001.
Shiv's reprimand actually physically prevent me from customizing, or is it just
Yes.
No,
Yes.
he-
Now,
he-
commander levels. Commander. Let's talk a little bit about
oh,
the
yes,
default
it
settings
does.
protocol
It
here.
does.
Right. So command level or above commander, they're fine. They're experienced. They've demonstrated
Competence.
the historical maturity necessary to allow for customized panels. So Beers can have customized panels, and Jagar can have customized panels. After successfully acquitting herself well with the Cardassian probe on Bajor, Uvana doesn't get reset as part of the macro. She's fine. The second you try to change your things, a 4-digit passcode comes up. It's like a fucking nanny lock.
1,
And
2,
wants the
3,
code.
4.
And wants the code before it'll let you customize any of your settings.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4?
It is not.
Damn it.
Okay. So who did
Fine.
Shigar, did you stay aboard or did you go back to?
Actually, I probably went back
Okay. So the
because
three
I can actually kind of help with. Oh wait, no, I should stay on the train, shouldn't I? Because I'm like weird when it comes to strange vehicles. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
whatever you
think
want to do. It's just I was asking because I didn't know what you wanted to do. So
I think
You
I'll
love
actually.
exotic vehicles, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I'll stay with the captain because I might be able to be of some use on this side of things.
okay. So the three of y'all are there. And then two of you go back. Okay. So
Damn it.
by the way, do you relay any of like your knowledge of time crystals to them?
Oh, I probably let the captain know, although I don't know at this point how helpful it's really going to be because my knowledge feels very cursory at best. But I
Right.
can tell them that they remind me of the time crystals on Borath and that there have been issues in the past when these things break.
Okay.
I'm going to try to recall back, and she'll also try to like pull up some information because I actually have a focus in history.
The
to try to-
Klingons are
to
pretty
try to-
secretive about. So just for general reference, like
Yeah.
the Starfleet is aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of tight knit information. It's something that they don't necessarily want to advertise, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a high enough command level that you're briefed on them. And what you
Mhm.
do, so between the two of you, what you are understanding is that this is definitely like a similar thing, and it's probably the same kind. It's just from a different, or originates from somewhere else. But something is, it's like if it was, it's like a dilithium crystal, right? Like if the dilithium crystals get like broken and they don't work.
A release. Yeah.
So that's kind of what you can relate to it is if it gets recrystallized, it might help with what's going on. And maybe what Uvana and Voss want to do what they don't know is that what they don't realize is that they may basically be trying to recrystallize them.
Okay.
It's just that they weren't privy to the time crystal information.
details, yeah.
You have command levels, so you would know something, but not a lot.
Okay.
About as much as Jacquard does. Maybe then that's about it.
Like I know
Alright.
that we have to try to get this thing sort of back together again.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna calm Uvana and Voss and say, beers to Uvana and Voss.
Yes, Captain.
Boss here.
Answer me when I'm talking to you.
This is not to leave our conversation, but I've been made aware of similar time issues with these sorts of crystals. And what you need to do, what we need to do is to recrystallize the matrix of these.
I'm zirconia.
Yes. Whatever your your attempts to fix this problem, keep that in mind, that your ultimate goal is to reform these crystals.
I asked the captain, Captain, is the crystal dark by any chance?
Is it?
Like dark in
Game
color?
master.
Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we got to bring race into this.
I enjoy reading old Earth fantasy novels. And...
Oh God.
It's a dark blue,
Okay.
Yes.
but not like super dark. I mean,
Give
The
his reading up
Klingon
on
ones are
Dimension
green,
now.
right?
yeah, they're kind of yeah, exactly. They're kind of a greeny blue, but this is more of like a deeper blue. You know,
Okay.
like almost indigo.
Yeah.
Would my
darkish.
Mhm.
It's a dark blue, Lieutenant.
I'm gonna attach my tricorder to the console there and transfer all the information and try to have the computer go through the data and see if it can reconstruct the original shape of the crystal from all the
It
shards that
absolutely
were
can.
currently.
It absolutely can. It takes a couple minutes, but it does. It is able quickly to determine the original shape, which will help. That will help y'all determine, like, that will help you determine, like, the frequencies and the electronics of the pulses.
It's a princess cut.
Yes. Oh my God, that's my favorite cut. Aw.
So while looking through this, I'm also trying to determine, because we know we can potentially disrupt what's happening with the deflector dish, but also we want to put the crystal back together. So is there a way for me to determine which we should do first, or do we need to disrupt it before we can actually touch it? I assume that's the...
I think probably for safety's sake, you need to disrupt it first and then repair it.
But if we disrupt it, won't it just like literally disrupt everything that's happening on the train?
Well, you know and don't know that. What you can determine, like, kind of based off of hypothesis, is that it would likely free the people that are frozen from being frozen. And I mean, you know,
And that is
logic
something
would
we
determine
want to do, right?
Logic would
Yeah.
determine that maybe freeing them would help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
That's like
Lieutenant
your
Ivana-
random Vulcan officer just walked by saying that when you said it out loud. Random Vulcan officer.
So, Lieutenant Ivana,
Peace and long life.
Make sure you get that disruptor first, so then we can get these two conductors off their station.
Yeah, and y'all will have to clear, like, based on the safety of it, like, she's going to have to penetrate through that metal, which isn't going to be hard, but it's going to be using the deflector dish, so it will be likely that y'all will need to clear the area.
Clear the area from where they are.
I assume this is going to be a roll then for attempting to...
Do we need to? You're saying that we need to clear, like, where we are?
I mean, if you want,
there?
like, you don't have to, but you can.
Yeah, maybe we should.
You can. I
Uh,
don't care what you do. I mean, I care, but
I was going to say, because I'm afraid that they won't be pulled back fast enough once it's been disrupted.
Gotcha.
So, and someone needs to explain what's going on, and you know, we were at least there, because all Tina knows is that, you know, she grew up with this, and so she needs help. So I'm gonna stick. I guess I'll stick close enough to it, so the second it goes off, I can go back inside.
Yeah,
the
she takes y'all to, like, another area where she can monitor what's going on. I would say, like, time wise, it's gonna take the two of you about an hour to kind of calibrate everything just right and get it to where you need it to be, to do your initial test or your initial pulses, and then let me pull something up at the same time. And then, okay.
DM, just for clarification, we said last time that we can choose to spend momentum after we figure out whether we roll successfully or not.
Yes, you can. That is part of the rules. That is part of the game rules. It's not a house rule.
Good. Just yeah.
So the ship will go with this, but I think for you to calculate, Darj, it needs to be it needs to be like a engineering control. And then for you to get it to where, like, obviously, like, shot just the right way, Uvana, it's gonna be a control science. And then the ship will probably
Got
get
it.
a couple. And then now y'all will have separate, so y'all will each roll 2 for your success. Like, you'll each roll a task roll of 2, because one of you is attempting to calculate, the other's attempting to execute what the other calculated, and the
Right.
ship will
Okay.
roll something. So I'll roll the ship for y'all. But
All right.
throw it down when
Engineering
you're ready.
control.
And
Yep.
I don't want to assume focus, but computer systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got nothing for this.
Let's see.
I got 1 success. Is that enough for me?
Do you want to spend a momentum?
I would like to spend momentum, yes.
Well, wait, let me see if the ship helps you calculate correctly. We're going to do computers engineering. Okay, go ahead and make your another roll. If you're spending a momentum. Okay.
Reroll that. I'm using my reroll that rule.
Oh, okay. Okay, yes. I would like to reroll that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Maiden got a 2. Or Ariana got a 2. And then the ship got a 0 on yours, Darsh, but we need to roll for the ship with her. So for her, that would be probably computer science. Okay. Overall, y'all were successful. So what happens is, like, you know, these like boom 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 boom, like all these like boom wah, you know, you can kind of hear it even within the train. You hear this boom boom boom
So
boom,
basically
pop.
dubstep.
Yeah, you hear boom 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 boom, pop 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 pop, and you like, from like, eventually when they stop, you hear 2 men kind of and they seem just, and then I assume you all go back in there.
Yeah.
And Shiv, are you back with them, or are you just still wandering around? Are you like, what are you doing, Shiv?
Depends on how fast you think I can investigate the entire train.
It's huge.
7 miles.
Yeah.
He's far away. He's far away. I like how nobody's questioned, where is Shiv?
Yeah, as we've established in previous games, I think Shiv keeps an open party line. You know, he likes to monitor. You know, he likes to monitor comms and everything. So he's out. He's listening. He's just, you know, sitting on mute. You know, listening to the conversations. He's heard about the time Zirconia's and all that shit. And he's just it's while everybody is focused on the problem at hand, his focus is in making sure there are no surprises that could potentially endanger the crew.
Right.
So he knows he's not the science guy. He knows he's not going to have anything to offer to the solution that of what's going on here. So his focus is to keep them safe
By the
and make
way,
sure.
Shiv, as you go through the different cars, I mean, you know, they're like kind of, you know, you go through so many, right? Like, there's like the first like 10 or 12 are like kind of, you can tell, like, sort of all their living quarters, like all their functional spaces. And then a lot of them after that are just like cargo, and you find so much stuff. Like to you, because you're Andorian and you probably have a little bit of light earth history, but not super heavy. There's stuff in there that you have no clue what it is, but you know, it's like, based on what you know so far, it's probably things from a long time ago from Earth. I mean, it's a trove of things. Like, I can't even describe it. You know, just anything you could think of, you pretty much find from that period of time. And beyond, and before, even. Like, there's stuff that goes back so far in human history that you may not quite understand, because, again, you don't have that cultural context as much. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to give you something to kind of look for. And so the others, y'all go back in that room. You know, y'all go back up kind of to the engine section. And Paul and Cal Bunyan are awake. They are both about 40 feet tall. You know, like 37, 40, that kind of area. And they they kind of come back to life. They're like they're a little disoriented, and then they finally blink a few times, and then they look at all of you. What is the first thing you say to Paul Button? This is your first contact moment, Captain.
I know everything seems confusing, but for now, I need you to trust me. Miss Tina has requested assistance. We are from the United Federation of Planets, here to assist you in your hour of need.
He just kind of, the two of them kind of like, they're still a little disoriented, but Paul, the one, well, not you, Paul, but the other Paul.
Yeah.
The one
Paul.
with flannel on, he looks at you, but then he looks at Tina, and then he basically looks at everybody. Like, he just takes a second to look at everybody. Yeah. And he kind of focuses and he looks at Tina and he says, "You're much bigger than I remember." And then and he points at you, Captain. He says, "You look like a human, but you're not quite." And he kind of bends down, and he's like, his big giant sausage finger. He doesn't touch you, but he just kind of follows like the contour of your spots, your trill spots. And then he looks at Shigar, and he seems to be kind of, wait, I know what you are. You're a Klingon.
Yes.
You
know my people?
From a very, very, very long time ago. There is in Klingon history, there is mythology of giants. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit, not tons, but like old Klingon mythology before like Kalas and all that stuff. There is, and it's very hard to find, obviously, but there is some record of giants.
Is this how they knew about like time crystals? Did they?
I don't know. Yes, out of character, but it has something to do with it. Not exactly, but kind of. And then he looks at who else is there. Oh, Shiv's not there, so that's it.
Shiv's not there. Yeah.
And he just kind of stands up straight again, and he says, "Well, you're all speaking English from Earth."
It sounds like that, but we have a technology called the Universal Translator, which translates all our languages into ones you can understand.
That must be convenient.
Very.
Well, hi. And then he kind of extends his hand out, but he realizes his hand's too big, so he just kind of gives you his pinky, and he shakes hands.
I shake his pinky, and I go, "I'm Captain Nemian Beers of the USS Shran. We had some temporal anomalies which we came to investigate and found your vessel here."
Last thing I remember was Cal was trying to fix this whole thing here, and I grabbed onto him, and now here I am.
We believe that one of your time crystals has broken. We are in the process of fixing it, but we needed to remove you first from your stasis.
Well, I appreciate that. So, I suppose you want some kind of explanation of what's going on.
It would be helpful.
He proceeds to explain to you, and I'm just gonna, give you the kind of the rundown. He takes the time to explain to you that he and his brother Cal, which is kind of lines up with what Tina has told you already. She had told you that her, her father, like some of her father's people, crash landed on Earth. And they for a long time tried to get off. The way he describes his time on Earth, it sounds like he was there before, like, I mean, when the Egyptians were building the pyramids, and they were literally there for centuries trying to determine. They were stuck there. Clearly, they're a very long-lived species, and he explains to you that that they are that the name of their race is the Vakoth. And what they are is clearly they're giant compared to a lot of people, but they are the Vakoth, and they essentially live for a super, super long time. They live for literally like tens of thousands of centuries in a lifespan. And he kind of says to Shikar that the Klingons, the like people like the Klingons are people they basically they were like a federation of their own. They kind of did the same thing, but the problem they ran into the most of the time was that in comparison to other humanoid species, they're very large. And so it was very hard for them to integrate into these societies, kind of the way Starfleet does sometimes when they're investigating or they're taking a look at more primitive cultures. And so they tended, especially on Earth, he eventually tells you like his history on Earth, like a kind of a roundabout version of it, in that he had a bigger crew. He had like a dozen people with him initially, but they all got killed except him and his brother, because humans tend to be very scared of giant people. And over the years, you can kind of track that based on the various places, the various continents he's kind of telling you about that he went to, and the different, like how he had to go here to try to find this and that and this and that over the years. And that basically his time on Earth, essentially, it sounds to y'all like that's the reason Earth has legends about giants, because there were actually giants that walked the Earth.
I wish I was there for this, because that is very close to one of my values. Like, people equals shit.
but he like I said, he tells you about like the kind of the abridged version of his history on Earth, and how that him and his unit of crew members, most of them died because, and it wasn't until later on in their time there that they were able to sort of take on these personas of Paul Bunyan and Cal Bunyan, and they could kind of go out once in a while, but they could be seen once in a while and let it be a legend, but they couldn't like just all the time hang out with humans. And so eventually, when the industrial age came through and like trains and locomotives were being built, they took the opportunity to kind of sort of build trains of their own, because their ship was so screwed up that they determined they could fix it. They couldn't fix it, but they could like if they used the right thing, they could hodgepodge something new together. And that's exactly what they did. And so Paul Bunyan and Cal Bunyan are, and then the next thing and then as he's like telling this whole story, a human woman comes around, and and then as soon as he sees her, Paul's like, Carrie, and he kind of, and then he introduces his wife from Earth. Nobody asked how that works. Don't ask. But
Regular human-sized woman.
I've seen videos.
So it's either a stepladder or a ditch.
I mean, she's for a human woman, she's a giant herself. Like she's
tall.
She's almost 7 feet tall, and you kind of come to realize that's probably why things could work out between them. Which even then, I mean, he's like almost 40 feet tall. So it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so you kind of get this like whole catch up of what's going on with them, and that Tina is his daughter, and she used to be called Teeny, and she even tells her dad, "No, I prefer Tina." But all this happens, and you're explained all this by Cal and Paul Bunyan, and they tell you their true names, which are close to Cal. Like it's actually like, I can't think of a name, but it's like, they're alien sounding names that sound close enough to Cal and Paul. Like his name is actually Cal, and then which is not like an Earth name, obviously, but like, and his name's more like Pol, like. But it's spelled, you couldn't pronounce the whole thing. It's so odd. But they explain all this to you.
27 apostrophes.
But and then they start to kind of like, okay, but let us see. And then they realize as things go on and they start to kind of determine what's going on, they're clearly afraid of touching the chronoton particles, because that's what happened in the first place. But they also explain to you that the way their technology works, which obviously is a bit advanced for even you at this time. And he's not going to betray that, but he basically explains to you that these crystals like instead of warping like y'all do, they create like a time bubble that preserves them in time, but they can travel long distances, and to them it only feels like it's been a few minutes. So
Now, is the bridge monitoring these conversations? Like, are we?
Yeah.
yeah, y'all can
Oh,
hear all
I've
this.
Am I hearing that?
Y'all are hearing all this. Y'all are
Okay,
getting all
just
this.
wanted to
Yeah.
assume that.
I assume that, like, I don't know about this, but I assume that there's a first contact procedures where like you keep everything recording just so everyone has.
Yeah, and he's
has a-
like following his own first contact procedure of he's
Yeah.
not going to tell you how that technology works, because he can determine after you probably tell him a few things that y'all are warp capable. Like what's that scale in Star Trek of advancement? Like it's
it's the
Kardashev scale.
Kardashev scale.
yeah, and what is it? Humans currently are on like the 1.
We're currently
Humans in
0.8.
Star Trek are humans right
2.
now aren't even 0, but humans in Star Trek close to probably 1. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
close to 1. He's probably his people are probably closer to 2, or they're probably more
Yeah.
like past 2, and they're probably halfway to 3. But he doesn't know how far because he hasn't seen his people. In like
No, definitely not 3. Definitely not 3.
no. But yeah, they're somewhere
Class
like
class
just
3 is
after
being
2.
able to harness the energy of the entire galaxy.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's not them. But they're just right at 2, or like give or take, from what you can kind of determine off book here. But yeah, they also explain to you is that the way that their travel works is you create like a time bubble around a vessel, and to the people inside of the vessel, it could feel like just a few minutes has passed and they've traversed like half the galaxy or more.
Mhm.
That's just how they do it. That's the way their tech has led them. That's their logic of how it works. And he also explains to you that their people have a particular sensitivity to temporal like disruptions and things like that. Like they work with time so much that they understand it better than most races do. I guess that you would probably know. Anyway, you get through all of that, and he kind of they know what needs to happen, and they agree with Ivana and them, we need to, and Jakar, they need to recrystallize, but and they actually, like, if they could recrystallize that one crystal, they could actually get home the rest of the way. So
We have after that long explanation, I'll say our crew is currently working on a way to recrystallize the crystal. We do not have the facilities aboard our ship to support those of your stature, but I can give you a comms connection to our engineering.
well, Captain, I'll say something. The one thing that I'm worried about when this is all over is once you are outside of this bubble, where will you end up in the dark abysm that is time? And then he and Cal, they both start to calculate, and they kind of figure out, okay. And it takes him a couple minutes, and then he says, so you have several choices here. If I put you, let me look at my notes. I actually have notes for this part. If you leave this barrier before we go back into travel, if you leave this barrier just as it's recreated, I can't guarantee. I think that maybe what will happen is I can shoot for only 2 Earth years passing by you. But if we could do it this way, and he starts to explain, like, basically, like, essentially you would be the other way he can do this is y'all would line up to basically the exhaust of this engine and pulse at, like, do kind of a counteractive pulse at the same time as they take off. He can't determine if, like, he can try to calculate it, but he could try to return you to the same time that you left from, or just like a little bit before. However, he can't guarantee it. Like, so basically you can either go 2 years into the future, or you can go up to 10 years in the past, is what he explains to you. But it's not a guarantee. It could be just like, it's a range of 1 to 10 years, or pardon me, like no time, like nothing to 10 years. he
As we're
doesn't.
monitoring, I whisper to Voss, that reminds me of the 2 lost years of the pandemic in the early 20th century I was reading about.
Oh my god, so funny. So yeah, so basically you can just leave the barrier and let them finish their repairs because they kind of have the idea of what they need to do.
Mhm.
The thing is you'll go 2 years into the future. So when you return to DS9, they will have been missing you for 2 years.
Oof.
Or you can take the gamble of him trying to shoot you back to your time. Like
I'd
just to a
prefer
few
if you.
minutes.
I'd prefer it just be a few minutes.
But
Can
again,
crew
it
assist you in any at
it
all?
could be up to it really it okay, let me put it this way. It can either be a guaranteed 2 years ahead of time, or it can or a few like in the future, or it can be 10 years give or take for future or past. Like it's
So
it
it's
could go
either
either way.
guaranteed 2 years.
He will obviously his goal is to try to get you to just a few minutes before or a few minutes after you left. That's his goal. He wants to help you in that way, but he may it's like if one little thing might put you up to like 10 years in the future or in the 10 years in the past.
So at this point, I would like Shiv to have returned back to
Okay.
where Beers is. He's been monitoring on the thing. He's got a half-empty bottle of laudanum with him, which seems to have no effect on his Endorian physiology, and a book, and a book under his arm. And he comes in and just kind of nods up at Paul Bunyan and says, "Captain, a word, if you will."
And nod and kind of step aside with Shiv. Yes,
Paul
Commander?
Bunyan seems to be tickled pink that you're blue.
Uh,
But he
just-
doesn't say.
just
He's
kind
just
of-
like, oh, neat.
just shift the book under my arm, and I'm just like, Captain, I've been monitoring your conversation. As first officer, it's my place to remind you of the Temporal Prime Directive, and that that given the choices presented to us, it is far safer for the timeline and the Federation in general to go forward than it is to risk going back and altering our history.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Considering this
but-
is open comms, I'm just gonna look at Vana and just not say anything.
He goes, where we were. He goes, should we end up being forced back in time, not only do we risk altering our own history, but there is there are various duplication paradoxes. Well, I don't claim to understand all the temporal mechanics, but you will see one of the attached images earlier of a flying locomotive. That was from a historical document that I read about, dedicated almost exclusively to the dangers of time travel.
I understand your concerns, but I also have a duty to this crew and to the Federation not to lose 2 years.
Yes,
can
but
attempt
you
it.
also have the duty not to alter the history, the established history and lives of the entire Federation and the galaxy at large.
Captain!
YOLO was
So
listening.
there's a
to.
Vulcan.
Yes, YOLO. Yeah.
What
Okay.
if I take like a shuttle, or somebody takes a shuttle out of that pair? That way, no matter what happens, somebody knows what the hell's happening. So if
That
it happens
means
to
you-
the future, somebody will know when to expect you. And if it happens in the past, well, we're straight out of luck.
I it's a good suggestion, YOLO. Let me talk with Mr. Paul for a moment. Paul. I turn back and go, is there any way we can assist you? We'd rather not disturb the time-space continuum. While we are certainly not as advanced as you, we do have some rudimentary understanding of your technology, and of course, we have much better, more refined technology than your, no offense, crude 19th century jerry-ricking.
That's fair. That's a fair point. He kind of looks out the window and looks at your ship and stuff, and he asks if he can see something to kind of give him an idea of what it's capable of, like a spec sheet. He asks for a spec sheet.
I'll look over at Shiv and say, and kind of gesture for him to hand it over like a sanitized spec sheet.
Okay.
DM, I'm gonna look over at Ovana and ask, would it be possible for Shran to be outside this bubble as we attempt to reconstruct this crystal, or as soon as we leave, are we back in? Like, is it completely impossible for us to help out at that point?
Uvana, what you can tell him is that you could technically get close to like you could get closer to that tear and still do your thing, but getting out of the tear before it happens could possibly cause, like, if that tear closes in on you, there's no like it could rip the ship up. So you have to, the safest thing is to stay inside to do it, but you cannot do it from the outside.
Cannot do it from the outside. Okay.
Thank you, Uvana. Sorry, Uvana.
Oh, sorry.
But
I still
what if
struggle
we
with
just-
how often to repeat everything you say.
I know. I try. That's the hardest part sometimes. Is like I need to come
Yeah.
up with like cards to give to you guys for this kind of information. But at the same time, I have no idea what you're gonna ask sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, didn't they just say that they could actually just fix it on their own and we just
They
leave?
can, but they still need your assistance. Like they still need
Right.
you to do what you plan to do, because that's going to
Gotcha.
kickstart what they need to finish. If that makes sense.
I see,
That's going
I
to start
see.
the
Gotcha,
process,
gotcha,
and then from
gotcha.
there they'll get the power in the right place to do what they need to do. As he looks over your kind of sanitized spec sheet, he just kind of shrugs and he says, "Your deflector dish is what's going to help us." And you, from what it sounds like, that's what you already plan to do. And and obviously y'all's if y'all get your deflector dish taken away, it's not like you're gonna be like, but you only have a few more hours before the next wave hits. Like you're not gonna have enough time to like give them a deflector dish. So you have to execute it with them.
Okay. The question was more, is there a way that we can improve the chances that we're not going to be sent 10 years in the past?
That's fair. He kind of types some stuff in, and he says yes, but it comes with a greater risk of going into the future. If you want to avoid the past, your risk of going further into the future, goes up.
That's fine.
Okay. So
Because the issue is more past than it is future.
okay. So yeah, you can eliminate the going into the past completely, but that
We have a
means
chance
that
of
means
going like 20 years in the future. Yeah.
yeah, basically
Yeah.
20 or 30 years.
Yeah, we already have a way to eliminate going into the past. It's to just
Yeah.
go 2 years in the future.
Yeah. But it's a choice of either going 2 years in the future or going no time
going
in the future
two.
or 30
It's
years.
2 years into the future with like kind of the basic version of this, or he's pretty determined he can get you within like a few days at the very least of where, but it also, it's like undeterminable at this point because of the way everything's been. So with that said, what is your decision, Captain?
I'm going to risk it for the biscuit.
So you're gonna take the full gamble here.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay. So everybody, y'all go back to your ship, and you get prepared because you're going to need to be in your ship, and y'all all say goodbye. He actually makes a gift of some of the items before y'all leave. He actually he goes through some of the items that he has taken from Earth, like historic Earth, and he makes a gift of it to the Shran for Earth.
Okay.
And also other cultures. So there's like there's some Klingon stuff. Like there's a few little things he for each of you that he knows, like definitely the Klingons, because he ends up
Mhm.
telling you that one of the old sources for these crystals for them was actually on Boreth. Well, but they called it something different. And that's
Okay.
why he knows what a Klingon is because Klingons, like, you know, he like, so at some point people of his like visited early Klingon, early Kronos, pardon me. So anyway, there's more to it later. But so what happens is y'all go aboard and everybody's getting ready to execute the things. So let's do it this way. Darj, let's do the same things y'all did earlier, Darj and Uvana. I'm gonna.
I got control engineering.
And if anybody else on the crew wants to, like I would say Shiv or Jagar, if you want to assist either one of them, you can, but you have to pick one to assist. Like they're gonna, Uvana and Nolan are gonna be doing the two main tasks, and Jagar and Shiv, y'all can one of like Jagar say you picked Uvana and Shiv picked Nolan. Y'all would just assist each of their roles. That's it. But if y'all don't want to assist, y'all don't have to.
I will assist Voss because I assume he needs it.
Okay.
Wow.
Jagar, would you like to
Wow.
assist Uvana?
Yes, I think I can assist Uvana on this.
Okay. Okay, let me ask each of you. Shiv, how are you going to assist Voss? How, like, he's the one determining like the calculations of what the emitter, the deflector dish needs to put out. You could just stand there and be motivational.
I will assist him by standing over his shoulder and reading silently from the book that I brought back from the space train.
Okay, Darj, go ahead and roll your control engineering, please. I'm gonna do y'all one at a time, so nobody roll ahead. Just Darj, do your roll first.
It is a book about the 19th century mechanical engineering of the time, though.
Okay.
It's called The Treatment of Female Hysteria by Use of Mechanical Vibrations.
Fuck off! Oh my god. Okay, smartass. Let's roll for
now
you.
Explain how that's actually going to help.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. In fact, he gets a complication roll. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Mr. Shiv, go ahead and roll me a command presence, because that's the only thing that makes sense. And you're gonna get a task roll of 1, so you only get 1 die on this.
I gotta roll.
Okay.
Did I do it?
All right. Before we move on from you two, do you want to use any point? Like, Darj, are you going to use any points?
I'll use 1 momentum,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, then roll 1 more. Okay, so that's a total of 2.
2.
And then I'll roll for the ship, which is going to be computers and engineering. Okay, so that's a total of 3 for your task. Okay, let's move on to Uvana and Shakar. Uvana?
We have 3 more momentum, by the way, just for anyone keeping track.
Yeah. Uvana, I would like you to roll, I think the same as before, which was a control science.
And still with focus, because I do have
yes,
quantum mechanics and everything else. So okay.
Of course. Okay, that's 3. And Jagar, in what way did you want to assist her, by the way? Like how that helps me determine what you're gonna roll.
Well, I've got my focus for, like extra vehicular activity over here, so I can at least kind of throw a little I can throw some suggestions.
Maybe
like
on
what to look for.
Maybe with like the nature of that locomotive, like you can kind of better understand how to better penetrate into that chamber.
Yeah.
With it. So let's say that it's insight and science. I'm gonna say insight science for you, and you're just rolling one die on the task.
One die. Okay.
Yes.
Ooh.
Does anybody want to use? I mean, the complication stays, and y'all are. I already have a complication stored from before that I did not choose to use.
I'll use another momentum on mine.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and roll one more die. Okay.
How many momentum we have left?
2.
2.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna let you make okay, you can each purchase one more die, but the thing is if there's 2 and you've already each purchased 1, that means only one of you gets to use.
Yeah.
And you're not, and in this case, it's not a reroll because Jr is not the one reroll. Like it's buying an extra die. Okay, here's the thing: is your tasks were successful. You have helped them do what they need to do. However, the complications that are coming from this is, okay, they do their thing, you get it repaired. You're still in the bubble. Now the tear has closed, right? Because the bubble has been repaired. Everything's been repaired. So they contact you and they tell you they will get you out of this bubble with them, but it's gonna be a lot further in time. It's gonna be much further in time than we thought. So they give you instructions on how to, like, when they start taking off, they're gonna basically like tighten the bubble in to take you out of it. But they can't, and by the time that you're out of it, they will have been long gone. So they can't help you further. So they ask if you would like for them to put out some kind of beacon outside of their bubble now to see if that can get ahead of you in time.
Sure. That's probably a good idea.
And then y'all make that, y'all do a probe, y'all put some probe out that basically is supposed to, I would assume is supposed to go directly to Deep Space Nine and tell them what happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And based on what you can determine, the beacon actually got out within like a month of when y'all got into the bubble. So DS9, from what you understand, got it fairly quickly.
Okay.
But when the time comes, this is what happens is y'all, they all say goodbye. They give you a few things to take back with you as like kind of, token, like, hey, this belongs to humans and Klingons and whatever. Anyway, we just, it was archival stuff for us and things they actually used to use. So that's why they had it too. They don't need it anymore. So they give you a few items and things like that. And when you come out of the bubble, there is a ship waiting for you. There is a Starfleet ship. Let me look at this real quick. I have to pull this up because I did not expect to do this, but I'm like, ooh, I'm excited for this. 1 second. I have to look up a type of ship, a specific ship class. Okay. What is it? Okay, there is a ship outside of this bubble that literally was waiting for you, as you can determine, because it's like right there where you were before you went to the bubble. It is a very big ship, of course, and your chronometer determines that the year is 2409.
Okay.
It immediately goes back into working, and you get hailed by this ship.
On screen?
Captain Bears, I presume?
Yes.
I am Captain Baj of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701F. Welcome to the future. We will get you back to where you belong. Don't worry. It's another episode. I'm used to these being episodes. And that is the end of the episode. So there you go.
So we are now 40 years in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, that Klingon, that captain was a Klingon captain of the Enterprise.
Yes.
That is Commander,
Yes.
Baj.
Bash.
Captain
Or,
Baj.
Bash. Yeah.
An older Klingon. So yeah, she, just so she, older Klingon. In fact, Shihar, you would probably recognize her because you've heard of her. By the time that y'all went into, y'all got on that ship, onto the Shran, you had heard there was, that you had heard through the great, like this Klingon scuttlebutt, that there had been a Klingon commander, like that had run around with Galran during the Civil War, that Galran got pissed at because she wouldn't marry him. So he kind of threw her into the exchange program against her will. But yeah, she was in Starfleet Regalia. Anyway, so there you go. That's the end of the episode, everybody. Congratulations. Y'all are 40 years in the future now.
Just before we
damn.
fade, I turned to Voss and I said, it felt like that week would never end.
And it's the ship that never is. Okay, so let's.
That's 10 years ahead of Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not quite. It's 6 or 7 years ahead of Picard.
Picard is 23.99.
No, it depends on what season. If you're watching Picard season 2, it's 2401.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay, yeah.
honestly, the
Or 2025.
what is it, the canon of the USS Enterprise F. At least it's according mostly to STO, but it actually went into commission in 2409. So it's a fresh, and it's an Odyssey class, but y'all don't know that, like, in character. So anyway, yeah, so I guess that's what the next episode is. So yeah, let's go through everybody. We'll start with Darj, with the usual. What was your favorite moment of the episode?
That I had no idea what any of the things that were happening in this episode were, because I'm the only non-American here, and I was all constantly on my phone looking up, what the fuck is a Paul Bunyan, and what?
Yeah.
Oh, there's actually a blue ox in the folklore? Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit out of my depth, this one.
It's okay. I will make one more near death than out of everybody else's one day. I'll make a very Slovenian plot for you if you want.
Wow. All right. I'd love to see that.
I'll probably butcher it, but we'll have fun. What about you, Maiden?
Representation.
Oh, thank you.
I think I liked the most when Shiv was just kind of casually walking by by the ox, and they just kind of both look at each other, both being all blue, and just are just like nodding. That's pretty funny to me.
He marches to the beat of his own default drum. So Klingon Pop. Jen.
Honestly, I think just getting to run into Paul Bunyan is pretty great. And all I could think about was going to Wisconsin Dells and eating little cinnamon donuts.
I know, right? I've always wanted to go there. I hope you weren't. I tried to take the plot. I tried to put you in an easy place on today's episode just because of what you said in the other day in Discord. So I hope you didn't feel like left out. I just was trying to be like easy on you because
I am definitely starting to get over COVID brain. So I'm pretty happy to tell everybody that that's the. Ooh, COVID brain was special.
I bet. But and that leaves us to go to Disco Lando. Sorry, I had to do it once. I promised that to Fast Cart. So Disco, what about you?
My favorite moment happened about an hour after this episode ended, when Shiv finished his book on 19th century medicine and is horrified at the history of human civilization,
and especially how bad they are with women.
And then begins writing his new white paper on the dangers of gambling and how disruptive it can be to crew morale.
What was it we determined was going to be a thing? The dangers of what?
That he's writing exclusively for Captain Beers.
Mm-hmm.
But something else we said earlier in the episode, you had said like like the dangers of something is gonna be, and I said, oh,
The
this
Virtues of
totally-
Synthahol.
the virtues of
Yeah,
Synthahol.
he's-
Yeah,
The Virtues of Synthahol, yes.
That-
He's finished.
that is gonna be.
He
a book.
actually wrote the Virtues of Synthahol while he was walking through the train. So that's done. He wrote 2 position papers while he was exploring the train. One was the Virtue of Synthahol, so he got that off. The other one was the tactical lessons learned from Gulliver's Travels, which he was writing for Captain Beers in case shit went sideways. And then now that the adventure's over, he finished his 19th century book on female hysteria and vibrators, and is vowed never to look into human history ever again.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And then is now spending the rest of his evening writing about the dangers of gambling.
Okay.
And why taking a sure thing is appropriate.
Okay. Okay. your mind, Jared, your mind has like no creative bounds, and I enjoy that about you very deeply. Paul, it better not be about vibrators.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I do like the fact that everything kind of like, I guess my favorite moment is more of how everyone got something to do, and everything kind of flowed pretty well. In terms of like everyone doing some actions.
So basically, I did a good job. Is your favorite?
You did a great job.
Okay,
Yes.
that's like honestly the hardest part is making sure everybody
Yeah.
is fulfilled with something to do, and that nobody's left too off to the side. But sometimes, we've always talked about this with Vasquez. Sometimes like your character's just kind of on the sideline for an episode, and it happens.
Yeah. Some people get spotlight episodes, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, those will eventually come.
Yeah.
As far as for me, to be honest, I think I always have a couple, and one of them was the whole like I did like that Jared wanted to take like this simple scene with Odo, like of just like I just planned for it to be like kind of an opening scene, but he actually did create it into a longer scene, so I appreciate that as a DM. I also appreciated I appreciated too that, like, honestly, the time crystal thing just popped into my head, and I wanted that to be a thing for Shigar. Like, that was one of those things that, like, oh, that was like a DM, like, you thought I had that prepared. I didn't. That just came to my mind. I don't know what y'all deserve, but overall, I really enjoyed how I enjoyed to see how the idea that Paul Bunyan was he's alive and kicking, and he's on a space train. I enjoyed seeing it, how each of you kind of like that kind of lit up under like that light bulb hit your head, like when that light bulb came over your head. Except Darj, he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah,
I like seeing that. That's a plot I've been wanting to do for one of these games for a very, very long time. I'm sure I could have done some things better with it. Like that's always like the hindsight in like you as a GM. But I really, 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 that was one for literally since I started playing this game like 4 or 5 years ago. That's something that I want you all to know, this is like required listening for anybody that watched this episode or participated in it. Look up Jerry Reed on the Porter Wagoner show singing the Wabash Cannonball. I used to sing that on my stream all the time. I actually have a voice command that's like, and Mr. Jerry Reed, and it plays that song, and it's my favorite version of that song. And that song a long time ago very much inspired like a thought in my brain. There's like a whole children's series I have like written out based on that train. So it's just always like a cool story to me. I love the Wabash Cannonball. So anyway, that's it for us.
I apologize for the brief immersion issue when my son interrupted, but he knows not to interrupt, but it was because our DoorDash order was wrong, so that was pretty important to him and his stomach. But
speaking of,
he will be reprimanded.
He will be reprimanded. I will make a character model just off of him that will be a red shirt. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go.
But anyway, thank you everybody that watched. I'm as I always say with these, I can't really interact with there's little interaction with chat during this show because of the nature of what we're doing. But I really hope that y'all enjoyed it. If y'all ever have any like favorite moments of your own, please always share them at the end of every episode. Once you get used to these, you come by a lot. I mean, you can always tell us your favorite moments of an episode. I really love I really love hearing what y'all's favorite moments were too, or just tweet at us, like tweet at me or something on Twitter. I would love to hear on Twitter.
Comment down below in the YouTube video.
In the YouTube video, yes, YouTube people, all of you
Right.
wonderful people on YouTube, leave the comments below, like your favorite.
And like, share, and
Like,
subscribe.
share, and subscribe. But anyway, I am gonna say goodbye to everybody. So everybody, wave goodbye. Wave goodbye.
Wave goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Goodbye,
We'll
everybody.
see y'all next time in 2409, and we will determine the next date soon. So just let me talk to the cast after this, and then we're gonna go to the intro screen.